Welcome to DWBIADDA channel. Please subscribe for latest training videos.
Hello to you all. Today we're at the add activity and we'll continue our tutorial about database. Today we're going to explain how to read data from database. Let's go immediately to this function reading and saving, and let's explain how do we read data from database. Let's open this part, and here we are. We have some integer variables here: business base, home base, and taxes base, and again integer variables here. We're here at our database reference variable, and I explained what is database reference in past tutorial. Then we have some function. It's add value event listener. So we are listening our value, if I can say it like that. Then we have on data change and on cancelled functions here, and that are generated functions when we type this code here. On cancelled means when we have some error with reading our data or with initializing our database reference. We can just inform user about that mistake here and tell him what is the error with this code here. If our data is loaded correctly, this function will be loaded, and we have very important variable here. It's data snapshot. So let me explain what is data snapshot. A database reference is a starting point for all database operations, as we said. This allows us to read, write, and create new database references. A data snapshot is an efficiently generated immutable copy of the data at a Firebase location. They cannot be modified and will never change. So we're using our data snapshot to read data from database. As you can see, pay attention to this part right here. We're going data snapshot where we are located in our database. That's this here. And then we're going to specific child and reading data from it. So we're going to child business. Be careful, not this business here. It's this business. And then we're getting value from this business. That's everything you need to know about reading data from database. This is the pattern which we will use every time when we want to read some data. Then we have conversion of this data snapshot child, and you're probably asking yourselves why we can just convert it to integer value instead of converting it to string value and then to integer value. Well, data snapshot allows you to convert it only to string. I'll explain why now. This here function data snapshot.getValue returns an object, and object can only be converted to string. So that's why we need to first convert this to string instead of directly converting it to integer, because string can be converted to integer, but object cannot be converted to any other type instead of string. We have same code about home base, just different path, and about taxes base, also different path. After that, we have some variables NOI, and that represents number of incomes from business, home, and taxes. Then we have this int conversion for our data snapshot, but as I explained, data snapshot cannot be converted to string value. Yes, that's true, but when we are getting value from some child. If we are getting children count, then it can be converted to int directly. It's because data snapshot.getChildrenCounts return type long, not object, type long. So that type long can be converted to integer directly without converting it to string first. What is getChildrenCount? Let me explain you an example. So as you can see, our data snapshot is positioned on child business, then child incomes. Let's see where it is here. It's business, then incomes. And then we're having get children count. So we're getting count of subchilds of this child incomes. As you can see, we have just one subchild, that's incomes, and our variable NOI business will get value 1. Same story about NOI home, just different pattern. So let's explain that. Let's open this home. and then we're going at the incomes, and as you can see we have 3 subchilds for incomes child, 1 2 3. So our NOI home will get the value 3. For NOI taxes, again same, just different path. So let's open that also. Taxes, then incomes, and we have just one income. So values for our variables are 1, 3, and 1. I hope that you understand everything here very well, because this is very important. If you understand this right here, you'll have no problems with reading data from database. So now let's go further, and let me explain why do we need to save data that we read it here, and why we can just use this variable. That's because if we are loading data from database, we can use it only in this onDataChange function. Yes, I know it's some kind of confusing for you to understand this, but we can only use this data in this function. That's why we need to save that data to our shared preferences, and then after that we can use it later in some other functions. Same for all of these variables, we are saving it to our shared preferences. Now after we save them, we can use it here. As you can see, we're using that data from database, but not with variable business base. Instead of that, we are using loading business. We're at the profile activity now, and I'll explain you how to submit and load image from Firebase storage. So before going to explanation, let's talk about these variables. As you can see, we have 2 variables here which we use to choose image from our gallery. I'll show you that function later. And then we have some Firebase storage functions here, as you can see. Firebase storage, where we are getting our instance, then storage reference, like database reference, just is storage. Then we need to initialize it, and it's something similar to database reference. We have get reference from URL, and then this URL you can get, I'll show you right here. That's this right here. So let's go and explain how do we choose our image from gallery. So we have our image profile, and when we click on image, we can choose image from gallery and update our profile image. So we have intent, and then we have some special intent in which we are sending ourselves to our gallery. Let's see this start activity for result function, and that's this function here. As you can see, we have some conditions here, it's not so important. Then we have try and catch function, we'll explain that in some other tutorial, and inside it we have bitmap type of picture, and we are getting our picture from file path that we choose here. So file path describes the path to the imaging gallery, and we are getting the image to bitmap from that path, and after that we are setting to our image view. This part is not so important for submitting and loading data with Firebase. It's not connected with Firebase. We use this just to choose our image from gallery. Now let's go and explain how do we submit our image to gallery. As you can see, if file path is not null, so if file path exists, if image is chosen, then we can go further. We initialize our storage reference by this way. As you can see, we position ourselves to the user.getUID. That's this right here. And then we just type a name for our image. It's not so important, I just call it image.jpg. That's the format of the picture. And then we are uploading the image here. As you can see, we have upload task, and then we need to put file from this path, and again we have on success listener, and if it's successful, we just upload our image, and if there is some problem, then we need to inform our user about that problem. And that would be it basically for uploading the image to storage. Now let's see how can we load our image. And here we are. We have storage reference here, like database reference here. And then instead of this function we have get download URL and then onSuccess listener. And if this process of downloading image is successful, we get URA with which we can find our image. And we have Picasso here. That's one library that I implemented. We can see in our libraries here. Sorry, that's the Picasso. We use Picasso for manipulations with image views, and image buttons in Android. So we load that image with Picasso to our image view, and that's everything about loading image from database. If there is some problem, then we can inform our user about that. That would be it about reading data from database. I hope that you understood everything very well, because it's very important to manipulate with Firebase writing and reading, because we're going to use it a lot in this app. And generally speaking, in every app you have reading and writing to database. Maybe it's not Firebase database, but you need to understand the point, not just the code. You need to understand the point, the logic of reading data from database. So for this tutorial, that would be it. I'll see you in the next tutorial, and until then, thank you and goodbye.